Hello and welcome to another Renpy tutorial. On today's tutorial, we're going to look at how to take player input and assign that into a variable. And then after that, we're going to take a brief look at persistent data. So first of all, we're going to go over how to take player input. And this is really simple. So this is another one of those situations where we have to use actual Python code. Kind of. This is kind of a function that's built into Renpy, but we still have to use the dollar sign like we did in a previous video to show that we're using Python code. So the way that we do this is relatively simple. So first we're going to put in our dollar sign. So we're going to do Control 4 and I'm sorry, Shift 4. And then after that, we're going to use a function called renpy.input. renpy.input and then parentheses. So this is a function. We haven't talked a whole lot about functions yet, but all a function is a collection of instructions. So basically, it's a way that you can take several lines of code or sometimes many lines of code and just put it into one line. So if there's one task that you know you're going to be using over and over again, for instance, taking player input, which actually takes a pretty complex amount of code, but we can simplify that by storing it in a function and then just putting it into one line. Later, I may do a video on how to create your own functions, but thankfully there are loads of functions built into Python and also built into Renpy itself. And so this is one of the built-in Renpy functions, the renpy.input. So every function has to have parentheses after it, and as I mentioned in a previous video, functions take different parameters called arguments, and the arguments basically just tell that function how to behave, or it tells it what data to work with, just kind of gives it some extra instructions. Some functions don't have any arguments at all, but even if it doesn't have any arguments, you still have to put the parentheses. Some of them have optional arguments, which renpy.input has a lot of optional arguments. We'll go over a few of those in a moment, but for now, we're just going to deal with the basics. So we're going to take a player's input, and we're going to assign that to our character's name, so they can name the character whatever we want. So the first argument that you have to put in is a text string that will basically ask them a question or let them know what input they need to put in. So we're going to do parentheses, what is your name? There we go. Since that's a string, we have to put that in either single or double quotes. It can be either one, just as long as you use the same ones. And we're going to treat our male character as the main character. So what is your name? And actually, we can end that right now. Go ahead and save it, and then let's run it and see what that looks like. There we go, and so immediately it brings up that prompt. Before that, it goes ahead, the code assigns a placeholder variable there to our male character and to our female character. Then it asks us what our name is, so we can type in Steven, and then it goes ahead. So right now, it's taking our input, but it isn't doing anything with it. So all it's doing is taking input, and then that's it. So we want to assign that name to our male character. So we're going to say, all we're going to do is just assign this like a variable. We're going to say male character equals, and then that's it. renpy.input, what is your name? And then let's go ahead and put in a bit of dialogue just so we can test that. Oops. There we go. So we're going to say my name is, and then this is how we call a variable. Male character. There we go. Let's save that, and now let's run that. So now I'm going to put in something besides Steven. I'm just going to put in Steve. There we go. And it automatically changes it on our character name as well. So there we go. That's as simple as it is to take in input and to assign that to a variable. Now, like I said before, there are some optional arguments that you can have in here, but it's really just as simple as that. That's the only thing that you absolutely need. But I do want to talk about a couple of arguments that you might want to use. So all of the other arguments are optional, so you don't have to have them, but you can if you want to. If you use the other arguments, you just have to be sure to separate them with a comma in parentheses. That lets it know that you're getting ready to use a different argument. All right, so the first argument is the prompt argument, and that's the one that we already have in there. The second argument is the default argument. So again, this is optional, but if you want it in there, all you have to do is say, oops, let's make sure your string is ended. There we go. And we're going to say default equals, and then whatever your default is. So I'm going to say default, I'm just going to say player character. We'll just use that for a placeholder just to test it. So, and what this does is it gives your, or actually, ooh, let's do this. I'll just say, give it something a little bit less generic. Let's put in what I was going to put in there. So now, when it gives you that, text prompt, it's going to give you a default name that you can either change or leave the same if you want. There we go. So now, when it asks your name, it already gives you a suggestion, and if you want, then you can back that out and change it. All right, the next variable is the allow, the next argument rather is the allow argument. And allow, basically you can give a string of characters or symbols that are allowed to be in the name. So for instance, if you only wanted to the character to be able to use names that are in the English alphabet, then you could type in allow equals, and then in parentheses, just go through the entire alphabet. Like I'll just do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, just to test this. There we go. So for this next one, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of our default name. There we go. We're only going to allow it to use the letters A through G. So let's save that, and let's give that a test. So now you can't see this, but like I'm hitting a key that's not in those and it's not letting me do it. So I'm just going to try to type in Steve, and I just typed in Steve and it only let me do the E and the E. So that's good if you only want it to allow certain characters to be used. All right, the next argument that we're going to talk about is exclude, which is the opposite of allow. So if you want to use the exclude argument, you basically do the same thing, exclude equals, and then put a string of whatever you don't want to be in there, minus spaces. Again, just, put everything in there together. So for instance, if you didn't want them to use numbers, we could do that. Just put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. There we go. And then if you did that, it would allow them to use letters or symbols, but not any numbers. So what a lot of people will do on this is they'll want them to exclude numbers or symbols. They'll just want them to use letters. So again, a couple of different ways to do that. You could put in just all the letters of the English alphabet, but then if you have somebody that wanted to use a foreign name, that wouldn't necessarily work. So what I've seen more commonly, and what I usually do in my games, if I even use the exclude variable, I usually don't go that far with it. But you can put in all of the numbers and then the symbols, like curly brackets, square brackets, plus, minus. Like go and put in, basically all of the symbol keys, so it wouldn't let your player use those in his name. All right, and after that, the next argument is length. So if you wanted to limit the length that a character's name can be, you can use the length argument, and this is useful if you're afraid of somebody putting in just an absurdly long name and it'll mess up your text in the text box. You can use the length variable. So if you do like length equals 5. There we go. And this one has to be an integer variable. So it cannot be a floating point variable. You can't do like 5.5 because you can't have 5.5 characters. That has to be a whole character. Also, no strings in this. So again, we don't put this one in quotes. It's just the number. So now when I run that, that's for our name. And now it stops us after we put in only 5 characters. So usually you'd want to limit it to maybe like, 15 or 20. That should be absolutely plenty for most names. You can also limit it by using the pixel width, if you know exactly how many pixels wide you want the name to be. And of course, the way that you do that is just pixel underscore width equals, and then put in an integer number of pixels that you want it to be. I'm not going to test that one. I think you pretty much get the picture. And then the only other argument after that that you can use is screen. And this is in case you want to use a custom screen for the input. We're going to cover custom screens in a later video, but just suffice it to say that if you wanted to use something besides the standard input that we saw a moment ago, if you want it to look a little bit different, then you can use a custom screen by using the screen variable and then specify which of your screens you want it to use, which of your custom screens. Alright, that pretty much covers the player input, and the next thing that we're going to talk about, this is going to be pretty quick, this is persistent data. Persistent data is a really cool topic that took me a little while to wrap my head around or even figure out why it was useful, and once I figured it out, it was actually something that I'd wanted to do for a long time, I just didn't know what it was called. But persistent data is data that is carried over outside of your saved games, so like it is part of your game, if that makes sense. So for instance, if you had like an unlockable image gallery, or if you wanted to have your player do multiple playthroughs and each playthrough be different depending on what you did on an earlier playthrough. So that way, like, you wouldn't have to load a saved game. You can start over from the beginning and then, have certain variables or certain things carry over. And the way that we do that is very, very simple. All we're going to do is add a keyword to the beginning of any variable that we want to be persistent. Just say persistent dot and then the name of the character. So persistent dot male character equals Renpy.input, what is your name, etc., etc. And then that will allow that to carry over. So be aware whenever you do that, that every time you call that variable, you have to put in the persistent keyword. So on this, if I just put in male character, then it wouldn't be able to find that variable. You have to put persistent.male character. So that way, whenever you play that, actually, let's try this real quick. We'll go ahead and put this to the test. So I'm going to put in a quick if statement. I'm going to say if, first of all, I'm going to change that to, I'm going to change my male character to null, which just means a null value, a value that doesn't exist. So I'm going to say if persistent, oh, and I've also got to name that one. There we go, persistent.male character. So I'm going to say if persistent.male underscore character is equal to null, then it's going to ask our name. However, if that already has a value that is not null, then it's going to skip that because it already knows our name because of the persistent data. So let's go ahead and test that real quick and see how that works. Alright, apparently it doesn't like me calling it null, so I'm just going to call that default. There we go. And I'll just go ahead and change that. These don't have to match these single quotes and double quotes across the variables, but I'm going to go ahead and do that just for the sake of consistency. Alright, now let's run that. There we go. So far, so good. So I'm going to go to start. What is your name? I'm going to say Steven. There we go. Alright, and then it ends. And there it was calling it male character because I didn't change it to the new persistent variable name in the character script, but I'm going to leave that alone for now. So now if I go back and play it again, there we go. It jumps all the way to there because it already knows what my name is. But if I change this back to the way it was, so I'm going to get rid of the persistent variable. There we go. So I'm going to get rid of that persistent variable. Let's save that. And now let's look at what happens. So now what is your name? There we go. But if I start a new game, it doesn't know what my name is because it didn't save the persistent data. This is an entirely new name, so I've got to put in a whole different one. Alright, and that will do us for today. Thank you again for watching and continuing to watch my videos. If you got something out of this, be sure to hit the like button. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss one of my new videos. And if you are interested in getting some professional quality graphics for your visual novel, be sure to check out my other channel, in which I cover all sorts of topics about Daz 3D in order to create graphics for visual novels and other purposes. And I'll leave a link to that in the description below, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.